This is music, and this is another episode of Songs from the Pukebox. Welcome back to the worst titled What's Spinning series in the history of the internet. This is just a What's Spinning series. What I do in these videos is I show and talk about some of the items from my collection that I've been listening to over the last week or so. So yeah, What's Spinning basically. This time I have a handful of randomly picked CDs from my collection and also some randomly picked cassette tapes from my collection. And apart from two items, this is stuff I brought to my office at work so I could listen to some good music while working. Let's start out with the cassette tapes. Amethyst Rock Nights out on Jawbreaker Records, and it's got this cool silver shell. Now, these guys actually describe their music in a way right here in the J card, and it says Amethyst plays highly intense heavy rock exclusively. To my ears, this is new wave of traditional heavy metal to the point that it sounds like it could have been recorded in a semi-professional recording studio in the early 80s. And musically and production-wise, it also sounds very early 80s, like semi-underground early 80s metal, like a lot of new wave of British heavy metal and a lot of the similar stuff that was going on in Northern Europe at the time, like in Germany and Sweden in particular, but also in the Netherlands and Denmark and Norway to some extent. So, uh, yeah, the guitar tone has a twang, and the riffs are very, very early 80s metal too, as well. And you have some cool twin guitar harmonies on top of everything. The songs are well put together. They have nice dynamics, some melodic parts, some high energy parts as well. The bass sounds a little bit like the first Iron Maiden album in places. The vocals also sound like an early 80s underground metal vocalist, so a bit more raw in a way. And if you like your traditional heavy metal, check this out. Even if you like authentic traditional heavy metal, it's good stuff. Up next, we have this one here, Eye of the Storm by Beastmaker on this yellow shell. Now, this is one of the items I didn't bring to work. I listened to this at home. This is doom metal, but to me, it's like traditional heavy metal, just slowed down to the point that it becomes doom metal. So you got some really cool heavy metal riffs played at a slower pace. You got some epic sounding guitar harmonies as well. I wouldn't call it epic doom metal though. The vocals are not your epic doom metal vocals. They actually also sound more like an underground vocalist from the 80s, early 80s. So this is really good stuff, like slowed down heavy metal. So doom metal, but a little bit different, which I appreciate for sure. I'm considering whether I should pick this one up on a CD. That's how much I like it. By the way, Amethyst is an EP, and Beastmaker is an EP too. And the next one is the other item that I didn't bring to my office that I listened to at home, and that's also an EP. Technically, I think it was a demo, but now released as an EP. Death Storm Swarming. This is out on Dying Victims Productions on this tasty black shell. This is death thrash with Schuldiner-like vocals, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's death thrash in the sense that it combines really fast thrash metal, for the most part, with old school early death metal styled riffs. So this would be considered death metal back in the late 80s, early 90s for sure. It's really good. Great riffs, a nice sense of aggression, and I like the kind of throwback, old school death metal that pervades this entire three-track demo. I like this one so much that I listened to it 4 times in a row, which is pretty easy. 3 songs, Same program on both sides, but it's good stuff. Check him out, Deathstorm, Swarming. Now the CDs, Artillery, Back, or BACK. This was kind of a one-off comeback album. As you can see, they are three-piece here, but you actually have the former drummer of Invocator playing the drums on here too. More straightforward, solid drumming than the more technical stuff he did in Invocator. And as you can see, this is with Fleming on vocals, who also sang on By Inheritance and basically all the early Artillery albums. And I love his voice. He's got this. He's a great singer, but his voice is very unique, and it kind of has a texture of, I don't know, disease and sickness, and it's perfect for this style of music. Now, this is an album not a lot of people talk about. Um, and it's not the best album, but it's pretty damn good. It starts out with Cybermind, where Fleming sounds fantastic on vocals, and it just starts out with a no-nonsense artillery-style riff. So you know I'm in for a great artillery album. It is a great album, just not their best album, I think. So Cybermind is a fantastic song. I really dig Out of the Trash too, which almost has a bit of a punky vibe to it. But all the songs on here are, range from good to kick-ass. And you have lots of cool riffs on here. And it is the kind of quasi-melodic, yet quite fast artillery style of thrash metal, injected with a little bit of groove every now and then, and it works, and with a little bit of traditional heavy metal. I enjoy listening to this from time to time. I think it deserves more attention, and I think it's a good artillery album, but it's not their best album for sure. Up next, Candlemass from the 13th Sun. A Candlemass album that a lot of people don't like, and actually a lot of people don't talk about either. It doesn't sound like Candlemass. I think it was supposed to be a different project, just with some Candlemass members, and then they had to release it as a Candlemass album for some reason, probably label pressure or something like that. It's not epic, but it is doom metal. It is slow. The songs are basically the opposite of epic. They are quite minimalistic, quite barren and sparse sounding. There's a spaciness to the songs, and also a kind of a sense of dark psychedelia. Uh, it's it's not my favorite Candlemass album, but I think I like it more than a lot of Candlemass fans do. Um, just the opening tracks, Droid, Toad, Elephant Star, so on and so forth. They're good, kind of strange, but good. And I think in the entire Candlemass discography, it's just a cool curiosity, something different. Um, so I like it. I enjoy listening to it from time to time, but don't expect it to be epic doom metal. Now back to the world of thrash metal, Death Angel, The Evil Divide. Uh, One out of many awesome Death Angel albums from their comeback era. Uh, I love the vocals on here. I actually love the vocals in, again, the comeback era, Death Angel, because he sounds very angry, but he can still sing and he still does clean singing. So it's just perfect for this brand of melodic yet aggressive thrash metal. One thing that's interesting is that although I like this as much as a lot of the other uh, kind of post-comeback era albums, there's no song that stands out to me on here. It's not as memorable. Doesn't mean it's bad. I just said I like it as much as the other albums, but I don't know if it's just because it's very consistent or what it is. In any case, if you like thrash metal, The Evil Divide is a good, aggressive yet melodic, kind of modern thrash metal album. Up next, we have this one here, Lost from the Start by Galaxy, uh, an EP with some pretty long tracks. Some of them, at least, it has to be said. This is interesting. This is hard to pigeonhole because they got some new wave of traditional heavy metal going on for sure, but they also have some US power metal going on. Also a little bit of Euro power metal as well. You've got some speed metal. You've got some some thrash, some power thrash. So I'm just gonna, categorize this as a power thrash album. I'm probably stepping on some people's toes, but that's how I choose to view it because kind of everything comes together there. Really good songs, nice going back and forth between the different elements, and I do enjoy the speed and power thrash elements for sure. But overall, lots of good songs on here. It's worth checking out if you like modern metal that uh, pays homage to traditional metal. This is worth checking out. You got five really good tracks on here. I enjoy listening to this whenever I pull it from my collection. Now, this is an album I don't listen to that often, Masquerade. It's called Flux. I bought this one very cheap, it has to be said. Back when I was on a huge progressive music kick, I just picked up anything prog, and this was classified as progressive metal, but it's to my ears, it's alternative metal. It sounds very 90s. Think Alice in Chains, think um, Soundgarden, think maybe elements of Promised Land, Queensryche. There are progressive elements on here for sure. There are progressive elements, some odd time signatures, some interesting things going on. There's also a little bit of groove on here. So, but it's not an all-out prog metal album. I enjoy it whenever I listen to it. You got some good, solid songs on here. They are interesting, and it's kind of the style of alternative metal that I actually kind of dig. So I like this. I don't have a special connection with it or anything like that, but I like it. I enjoy it when I listen to it every now and then. So if you like your 90s metal and you don't mind a little bit of groove that's inserted and some progressive elements, do check this one out if you come across a copy of it. Up last, we got some black metal. This is Sol Sistere, Extinguished Cold Light. So there's a hype sticker. It says, Extinguished Cold Light represents a different world, a universe of burning hatred and bitterness where the only way forward is to stumble through the dark. Perhaps, though, the blazing majesty can help you find a way home. For fans of Drudke, Altar of Plagues, Dawn, and Woden's Throne. So this is black metal. It's kind of atmospheric without being atmospheric black metal, if you know what I mean. You got your harsh vocals, they have reverb on them. You have your tremolo picking, guitar stuff with reverb, and you got lots of blasty parts too. So it has those atmospheric elements, but I wouldn't call it atmospheric black metal per se. It's uh, it's quite melodic because what they do is a lot of the tremolo picked guitar stuff. It kind of builds around some very simple haunting melodies. So it's actually really good stuff. It's quite melancholic without being depressive. Uh, so I don't know if I would classify it as melodic black metal per se, but it does have a lot of melody. It has a lot of melancholy. It has lots of atmosphere, and it has that kind of coldness that you associate with a lot of black metal. And it's really good. It's really enjoyable. This might be one of those good kind of gateway albums if you're looking to get into um, black metal and you don't know where to start and you want something you can still recognize from, more accessible music. Uh, the strength to me, that's those haunting, simple melodies. So there you go. Bunch of songs from the Pukebox. All good stuff. Very enjoyable to me. But as always, check it out on your own and see if you like it. Thanks for watching.